First set, Becker to serve. Play. $15 love.
So first blood to Boris Becker. Oh, that's a nasty fall.
30 love.
Now,
Well, he seems to be all right, thank goodness. It was really rather a nasty fall. Very dry, this court now, and it seems that he put his foot down on its side rather than on the sole, and it seemed that the shoe just didn't grip at all.
$40 love. Game, Becker. First game.
very good opening service game for Becker there. Even when he showed a second serve, still very powerful, as he showed yesterday when he beat Edberg. Not so many first serves in yesterday, and he only served 1 or 2 aces, but his second serve is so good. But I think this is going to be a match where service, of course, is absolutely all important. And we've got a bit of wind blowing today, which we haven't had all week. And servers, really great servers, like it to be calm. So if the wind gets up a little bit, it may be the man who manipulates best on the serve in the wind. The new knight, Peter Ustinov. I had the pleasure yesterday, a man I've known for years, had the pleasure yesterday of congratulating him. He was watching tennis here. I asked him how he felt after the match, and after the matches, and he said, "Dan, they're so good now. It's really awe-inspiring. They're too good, they're too good." I said, "Who's going to win it? Who's going to win it?" And he said, "Well, we'll know more after tomorrow, don't we?" And there's Viscount in the top left-hand corner of your picture. Also a great fan, of course. So here we are, Lendl serving, and the sun has just retreated for a moment.
Love 15.
Well, here's an ominous sign, isn't it? At least for Ivan Lendl, taken so early and with such power in that forearm.
Love 30. Love 40.
Yesterday he was low volleying so well against McEnroe, but of course not having to compete against such fierce power as he's having to do now against Becker. Love 40.
$15.40.
Lovely volley. Beautiful volley.
30, 40.
Came in very quickly behind that first serve, and again, yesterday he was showing the width of the court, exploiting the width of the court on the volley.
Deuce. Advantage Lendl.
Have to put that one down. I think there's an error by Becker. The service not all that difficult. Might have been blocked back. Advantage server.
Deuce.
Lovely backhand after that very fine volleying. Not defensive volleying either under pressure there. That was very punishing volleying that Lendl was dishing out, but how good Becker competed.
Advantage Becker.
I think that's the first smash that Lendl has missed this week. Certainly the first that I've seen. Oh, so that's an outrageous volley.
Deuce.
And even Lou Hurd at his very best didn't produce volleys like that.
Tell you a man who you and I will remember with forehand volleys like that, Budge Patty, the 1950 Wimbledon and French champion, an American.
Advantage Becker.
Just as Lendl served that second service, the sun came right out. Whether that interfered with him or not, I know not, but it's his second double four. Third.
Well, here's an example of Becker trying to keep the ball low and Lendl taking the net position and not being intimidated in the least. Played like a veteran volleyer.
Advantage Lendl.
Second ace.
Game Lendl. One game all.
Well, John, he looked like losing his first service game of the tournament.
The first test, he's come through it with flying colours, principally because of that very dependable heavy serve, which so often in critical moments he can produce. Those two aces to finish the game, his second and third of the match. 1-1.
$15 love. $30 love. 40 love.
Well, if you can't get a ticket, that's probably the best way of all to watch the tennis. I'm not sure that she can see all of the court from there, but with the help of binoculars, no doubt she's enjoying herself. 40 love, 1-all.
Oh, lovely return.
40-15.
Just missed it.
Oh.
40-30.
Having served his first ace just a moment ago, I thought he'd really settled down his serving, but beautiful.
Well, if you can use your opponent's pace by taking it early and just open the racket face to block it back at an acute angle, Ken Rosewell used to do that to perfection. You don't then have to bother about taking a big swing.
740 love to deuce.
Advantage Lendl.
Possibly Becker not holding the racket tightly enough there. It was a fierce blow from the Lendl backhand. So it's a break point.
Game Lendl. Lendl leads 2-1.
Well, Mark, what do you think of that? Mark Cox watching very closely here, of course.
Well, it really is surprising, Dan. You made the comment that it looked as the Becker looked as though he was very much at home on his serve, and that was at 40 love. He'd taken 7 straight points on his own serve, and then all of a sudden it went haywire, didn't it? Lendl returned a good return, double fault, and then some tentative volleys. I think the interesting part, though, of this match really was the second game. Lendl definitely started tentatively, as he did yesterday against Stefan Edberg. He went down to love 40 on his serve, but he salvaged his service game with some really fine play. 2 aspects were superb serving. He served a number of aces, in fact 3 aces in that service game, but some tremendous reflex volleys. I beg your pardon, of course he was playing McEnroe yesterday, not Edberg, but certainly he started the match tentatively, but now very much looks as though he's settled down. But his volleying has been absolutely superb. It's a major improvement in his game from last year. So with the service break, it's Lendl 2-1.
$15 love. 15 all.
Well, apart from being a very fierce backhand, just the net cord too worried Lendl. Although he was behind it, he'd anticipated correctly. Ace.
30-15.
Ace number 4 for Lendl. He served 11 yesterday in the semi-final against McEnroe.
40-15.
We had a noisy week at Queen's this week overhead.
Game Lendl. Lendl leads 3 games to 1.
Some brilliant serving, it really was.
Wonderful to see these stands so packed, isn't it? More than 46,000 people have passed through the turnstiles this week, breaking all previous records. The gates have been closed since Wednesday.
Oh. 15 love.
Played.
30 love.
So a classic serve and volley point this, the good knee bend and the quick check step there to force into the net, waiting to see what's going to happen. Whether he's going to get a lob or a volley, he would have been ready to go in any direction.
Fault. Called cold.
Oh, that's a surprise.
Wasn't it chalk? You didn't get chalk there. I thought he called it. I thought the lines were called it. I made a mistake. Yeah, but so what? He couldn't get the ball anyway.
It's your point. It's your point. I called up.
He couldn't get the ball.
Called it up.
How is that now, Jerry?
I thought the lines were called a fault. I came in after you played the shot. Sorry, it's my mistake.
That's true. That's good umpiring, actually. He thought the linesman had called, which he hadn't. And because he called fault after Lendl had made his return into the net, then the point stands to Becker. 40 love.
First service.
Of course, had he called before, there would have been a let.
Oh! 40-15.
Becker's second double fault. Oh, that was a
Game
chance.
Becker.
Lendl leads 3-2.
Well, that was an interesting shot that Lendl knocked into the net. That was rather reminiscent of his backhand stroke play a year or two ago. A push, a jab rather, when he's been developing this lifted drive. Looked rather ugly, that one, John.
Yes, he had to improvise, and I think that is where Ivan Lendl is never looking his best, when he has to improvise, whether on the volley or off the ground. He's a great method player, is Ivan, one of the best probably there has ever been. But I think we've seen on volleys this week here, when he's playing a routine volley, he's playing it quite beautifully, very, very much better than he's ever done, having been on grass since April, with Tony Roach first in Australia and then in the United States, and then he came over here early.
Time.
And won at Beckenham, you'll remember. But it's when he has to readjust quickly. He doesn't have the good hands that
Seats behind,
Becker or
please. Thank you.
Edberg have, and that is where he's going to be caught out. But I mean, everything else is so good that he doesn't often have to improvise. He has a break 3-2.
Love. Love.
Becker a little disturbed by that lovely, beautifully timed half volley on the backhand from the server. Oh, that's a great half volley from Becker. That's reminiscent of Borg and McEnroe when they were at their best. He counterattacks now. He doesn't retreat, steps in, half volley, beautiful trajectory control, and although Lendl was there, he couldn't control it. Lovely play.
All.
Just worrying about the toss on the serve, which is the crucial area of everyone's serve. That has to be so rhythmical and so constant that the swing can be used consistently every time.
40-30.
He needed his first service then, his 4 points. He'd served second serves.
First service. Game Lendl. Lendl leads 4-2.
Well, both these players have certainly shown this week that when they were in difficulty of some kind and they were serving, they brought out their best serves. Lendl certainly did it there. The last two serves are very fine. So Becker 2-4. Becker about to serve 2-4. First set, best of 3 sets this final.
Love.
Second ace.
Love.
There's a service that came through like a bullet. Terrific penetration.
.30-15.
Forehand return pass of quality, but helped a little by the net cord.
Well, this is just a little bit short, about 1 foot short of the service line, and it does make all the difference. Lendl preparing so early, and that's come because he's played since April on grass. The shorter take back now, and quicker.
Now, he was standing about a yard outside the line to take that first service. I'm quite certain he'll move forward, and this is the first time I've seen him do this against Becker.
.40-30.
Previously on grass at Wimbledon we've seen him, and sometimes standing as far as 6 feet back to take the Becker service, but it shows how much he's improved on service return against big serving, that on this very fast and beautiful court here at Queen's, that he's prepared to stand as he is now, about 2 feet outside the line for the first serve. Too much.
Game Becker. Ball change, please. New balls. Lendl leads 4-3. First set.
Well, even in that game, Becker didn't look altogether convincing, and it seems to me that the loss of his serve when he was 40 love up has had a bit of a psychological effect on him, a little bit inhibited. And as with all players, confidence is everything. And he came here not as confident as he could be, obviously having lost in that first match in Paris against Ivan Isavic. Though when we saw the draw, I think all of us knew that he might lose that one, because Goran Ivanisevic, the young left-hander from Yugoslavia, is a very fine player, particularly on clay. And so it's a question of building back the confidence, something that Brett has been working on with him and trying to persuade him that with grass and with Wimbledon coming, then he's going to be at his best. But you've still got to go and hit the shots. And I think the match against Antonic was probably a very good thing for him. Having had a close match and survived, it seemed that he would then grow in confidence, and he certainly did. Against Wheaton and against Edberg, he looked tremendous. But Lendl has the ability, particularly on the serve, to pin him back. And I think a lot of us felt that if it hadn't rained last year in the semi-final at Wimbledon when they met, then Lendl might have won. We'll never know, of course. With a break now and the new balls, 4-3.
Love 15.
Just testing the sun and perhaps the wind there, the throw up.
Ah! 15 all.
Well, the backhand was a very fine one, but the volley was equally good. Right out of the middle of the racket, that low volley.
$30.50.
Very fine, very fine.
$40.15.
Well, here's a grass court rally played to perfection from the net by a man who looked as if he'd lived there all his life. What a change.
(4-3), 40-15.
Game Lendl. Lendl leads 5-3.
And in those service games, he played 8 games. In the 4 service games, he served 7 aces. And I must say, he looks very, very good today. And Becker certainly has his hands full. Serving then to stay in the first set, Becker. Good return.
Love 15. Love 30.
I don't think there's any doubt that the ball was in. From where we're sitting high above that line, there's a mark left on it. It's halfway out and to the outer edge, the mark. Cleaned a bit of the chalk.
So 3-5, love 30.
Love 40.
So 3 set points for Lendl, and perhaps that's a sign of anxiety on the part of Becker. Not a moment to serve your third double fault.
$15.40.
Yes.
Game first set, Lendl. 6 games to 3.
So after a 36-minute set, Lendl very much in the ascendancy, playing perfectly.
Well, what a lovely way to finish it. He'll be feeling pretty good about this. It seems to me that Lendl is striking the ball rather better with this mid-size Japanese racket that he's changed to from the rather smaller-headed one that he'd been using. And I think it's helped his volleys. I think it's helped his serve. In fact, I think it's helped him all round. The sweet spot will be a bit bigger. Let's look at this serve of Lendl's now, which has been so dominant in this match. 7 aces already. And this lovely rally when he had to use his hands there to volley deep, and moves well now to his left to punch the backhand volley with a perfect example of how it should be done, and is ready for yet another one. There it is. The racket travelling hardly any distance, just back and forward with a short, sharp punching motion through the path he wants the ball to follow. You could put that in any textbook of volleying. Well, this lovely scene here at Queen's Club.
Second set, Lendl to serve.
When it's bathed in sunshine as it is today. Lovely day for tennis, hardly any wind, perfect court. Second set, Lendl.
$15 love. $30 love. $40 love.
And at the moment, Boris Becker looks rather bewildered. That was a very hesitant block of the return of serve, and certainly the lob was very indecisive.
$40-15. Game Lendl. First game, second set.
Well, Boris Becker certainly looking flat, bewildered down the other end there. And I suppose he can't understand really quite how he's got himself into this situation. He lost the set 6-3, lost his serve twice, and yet he started the match so well. He had 5 chances to break the Lendl serve, and eventually, of course, he didn't win any of them, and then went on to lose his own serve. And from then onwards, he's completely lost his rhythm, his timing. All of the things that seem to be coming together during the tournament are eluding him. And one of the real problems that he's having to deal with, I think, is the fact that Lendl is serving so well, and he's having immense difficulty getting the return back effectively. Surprised too, I think, that Lendl is backing up any returns that are going back with effective volleys. But somehow he's got to try to get the ball into play just that little bit more than he's doing at the moment. So it's Becker now to serve, love one.
$15 love.
Now that is something out of this world. It's hard to believe
15
what
all.
we're seeing here. He somehow gets the forehand back, the forehand return back, and that is the most tremendous shot I think I have ever seen. I really do.
First service. $30-15.
Oh, that's a great return.
30 all.
Well, this is a very bad serve. It bounces halfway up the service court. Lendl has half an hour to make his shot. And that is going to be meted out every time. The ball is that short.
Love 1, 30 all, second set. No.
30-40. Game Lendl. Lendl leads 2-0.
So it's hard to believe, excuse me, it's hard to believe Becker's had his service broken 3 times. And including the Wimbledon 1988 result, Becker has won their last 5 meetings. And it looks as though that run is coming to an end.
$15 love. First service.
That's the perfect backhand under pressure.
15 all.
Useful return and a very useful volley, but Becker in position just inside the baseline, beautifully steered down that line. It's a confidence-giving stroke, that.
(30-15).
Ace number 8.
Game Lendl. Lendl leads 3 games to love. Second set by 1 set to love.
Interesting that. I think that Becker decided that as his opponent was 40 love, he wouldn't try to contest that game any further, reserving what energy he has now for his own service game. Not an unusual ploy, that, in big tennis.
Well, actually, I think he was outguessed. I mean, I think he was expecting it down the middle and moved the wrong way. I mean, Lendl at the moment can do no wrong, and his only worry must be that he's peaked a little too soon. He's playing flawless tennis. I really couldn't fault it. I mean, aces galore. There have been, what, 9 now? A lot of other very heavy first serves that have been unreturnable. He's hitting his returns quite beautifully, as he usually does. Very eager, away from the chair at once, out waiting. Boris still sitting down, shell-shocked. And he is now experiencing the sort of thing that he meets out to so many opponents, as he did yesterday against Edberg, when he played quite beautifully. His rhythm has been totally destroyed by Lendl today. The rhythm that Bob Brett has worked so hard to develop with him, and which until today seemed to be there. And so it was until his second service came. That was the turning point. 40 love on his serve and he lost it. Love 3 now, second set.
(15 love). (30 love).
One of the features of this match has been that the anticipation of Lendl has been very fine today. Although he lost that point, he was in the right place for the volley.
(40 love). (40-15).
Now, Becker's fourth double fault. It's a winner.
40-30.
We've talked a lot this week about Lendl's return of serve, how much it's improved. And there's a shot that he never had, or barely had last year. Standing there, didn't move his feet, just rotated the body away from the ball, played a block backhand return to absolute perfection. 40-30. Yes.
Game Becker. Lendl leads 3 games to 1.
So now this is just a moment that, an opportune moment for him to break now quickly. Remember, this is a best of 3 set match.
15 love.
So double figures again for Lendl, second day in succession in aces.
$30 love. $40 love. $40-15.
It's fifth double. Certainly on the flight path to Heathrow, I think, today.
Dame Lendl. Lendl leads 4 games to 1. Second set by 1 set to love.
Well, that 11th ace from Ivan Lendl rather sums up the day, doesn't it? But I think what is most important from his point of view is that he's come here thoroughly relaxed, eager to play on grass, believing that he now stands his very best chance ever of winning that Wimbledon title that has for so long eluded him. He's a very happily married man with a lovely babe. The family are with him. He now has another interest, so there's somebody to go home to, somebody to play for, little Marika. And I think it's a totally different Lendl we've seen. He's been so relaxed and friendly and chatting to everybody, eager to give his interviews, which all the media people require of him in the build-up to Wimbledon. And I think if there is going to be a moment when he's going to establish himself and shows just how great a player he is, this will be the year. The contrast is in Becker's demeanour. He's been rather tetchy all week. He's actually refused to talk to anybody, including ourselves, this week. And he's playing like a man with a sort of little chip on his shoulder, trying to prove something. I think that defeat in Paris had a very damaging effect on his ego, particularly after such a wonderful finish to last year. Again, he played some of the best tennis I've ever seen any man play in the Davis Cup final, when he totally destroyed Wilander to win the cup for Germany, the winning rubber in Stuttgart. And it's a very different Becker now, struggling to find the rhythm again that he had at the beginning of the match, but Lendl knocked out of him. 1-4.
15 love.
Well, at last we've seen Becker play a fine wrong footing volley. It's a wonderful lob.
$15 all.
Well, he's being made to pay a very heavy penalty for some very short serving. That defensive volley, because the serve was too short and he got the ball to his feet, did Lendl, and then found that telling lob as Becker was moving forward, the perfect moment to lob. He's seeing the ball very early today, is Lendl.
$30-15.
Now, which side is he going to place this service ball?
$40-15.
Fourth is.
$40-30.
Well, look where this serve lands. Halfway up the service court, and that's exactly what anybody receiving wants to see. He'll have to get better length than that if he's going to stand a chance of pulling this match round.
Deuce.
Becker can't really make any impression on Lendl on the serve, and he's using a variety of returns. The one that he's proving most effective is that one, taking all the pace off the ball and making Becker put the pace on, and finding too short a volley that time for an easy pass. So it's deuce.
Advantage Becker.
That's a great return.
Deuce.
The quality of the backhand block return by Lendl today has been very fine, I must say. One 4 deuce, second set. First set, Lendl 6-3.
Advantage Becker. Game Becker.
Well, Boris Becker
Lendl leads 4-2.
somehow has got to find the secret of getting Lendl's serve back. Interestingly, in the 3 service games that Lendl has had so far in this set, Becker has only managed to return just 3 serves. That's all, 3 serves out of 15 points. Very low percentage.
Oh! 4-2, second set.
Love 15.
Well, here's the 4th that he's returned, and what a good one it is. Swinging freely. But he's been outguessed by Lendl most of the time. He's often been moving one way only to see the ball go the other. That time he guessed right.
No!
15 all.
Becker moving across to cover the backhand, but completely fooled. That was a lovely swinging serve out to the forehand. And it was 12th ace.
All.
Very well.
$40-30.
And a badly timed return.
Deuce.
And that was one of the first really loose forehand volleys that Lendl has played today. In position, perhaps trying too perfect a shot. Deuce.
Advantage Lendl. Game Lendl. Ball change, please. New balls. Lendl leads 5 games to 2, second set by 1 set to love.
So in this battle of the heavyweights, certainly Lendl has been quite dominating, not merely by the tennis, but almost by his own presence there, and that's very unusual against Becker. It's Becker who usually dominates the other man, but not today. And one is seeing, of course, without question here, the value of perhaps missing the French Championships, plus the fact that he's now playing doubles, something that I, for a long time, like other people, thought was necessary for him to improve his net play and his agility and general play.
And in fact, he's in the final of the doubles, playing with Henri Lecomte against our own Jeremy Bates and Kevin Curran. I'm reminded actually of what Johan Kriek said on this court after Becker had beaten him in the 1985 final. Kriek prophetically said, if Becker serves like that, he will win Wimbledon. We all thought, what? The boy of 17? But he did. And Lendl's serving has been so good today, it might be an augury of what is to come. So serving now to keep his hopes alive on a court where he's never lost a final. 3 times he stood here and meted out the punishment. Today he's on the receiving end. Can he escape? 2-5. The new balls will help.
Love 15.
And certainly no time to serve your 5th double fault.
Well, this is a very teasing return of serve,
15.
and the volley, he picks it up beautifully, Lendl, almost wrong foots Becker, who does the dive, and my goodness, very few people would even have bothered to set off after this, but Lendl almost gets him. My goodness, he's fit, strong, and very determined. Becker's dive, the familiar dive that we've seen so often on grass.
15 all, and now 15-30 with that lovely early ball return by Lendl.
15-30. all.
Just walk the line. Fine service.
40-30.
May surprise you that Becker today has got 56% of his first serves in, Lendl only 51%, but it's the quality of the ones that do go in that really matters.
What a pass off a really deep second service too.
Deuce.
So the second serve, a little deeper that time nevertheless. Not deep enough to prevent Lendl from blocking that return. Rosewall-like across the advancing server.
2-5 deuce, second set. So championship point for Lendl
Advantage Lendl.
after a really fierce cross-court return. Oh,
Game, set, match, Lendl.
that one. So,
Lendl wins.
who would have
2
thought
sets to love.
there would be a
6-3,
score
6-2.
today? 6-3, 6-2 in an hour and 14 minutes. And this has certainly been a year of sporting surprises, and most people would say that this is really a very unexpected one indeed. But what a performance by Lendl. I don't think those of us who've been watching particularly this week would have expected, although we all know how much he's improved as a grass court player, I don't think any of us would have thought that he could have played that sort of tennis against Becker, even though Becker was below form, very much below form because of the overpowering play of Lendl, I think.
Well, trivia question for you at home. How many grass court titles does that make for Ivan Lendl, who, remember, won here last year? So that was 2, but in fact the total is 4. He won just before this tournament in Beckenham, and he also won as a junior the title at Wimbledon, when he was the world's best junior of his year, when he was just 18 years old. So Ivan Lendl has really flowered as a grass court player under the tutelage of that wise old Australian Tony Roach. And for Boris Becker, a large question mark now over his head, though he won't be too distressed. He did find form enough during the course of this week to show that he can, particularly yesterday in beating Edberg, when he did play quite beautifully, that he can still find it on grass. But the rhythm was totally knocked out of him today, and I think, Mark Cox, that if you're looking for a Wimbledon winner to put a little bit of money on, what about Lendl?
Well, he, in many ways, I think, he deserves success. He's been working so hard for this championship, these championships for so many years. And of course, he's come awfully close. He's got to the final twice, the semi-finals on 4 occasions. But his preparation started way back in April, where he was enrolling John Newcomb and Ken Rosewall, amongst others, to help him in his progress.
And on court, the vice patron of the club, Her Royal Highness the Duchess of Gloucester. A very, very keen tennis fan indeed, and always hopes to turn up here. And on court with her. And the runner-up today comes forward to take his prize, a money prize of £21,000. And being presented there to Sam Whitbread, and the chairman of Queen's, Sir James Harvey Watt.
Men's singles champion, Lendl.
And Lendl now a very popular man who, with that somewhat barren face that he used to have, much happier, a pleasant person indeed, and everyone delighted that I'm sure that he's won this again, and he can hardly hold it. And I think everybody would like to see Lendl, after all the good that he's done for tennis, turn out to be the Wimbledon winner. But for the Queen's Committee, a wonderful moment. Grant Merrick there on the court, the chairman of the tournament committee, and Ron Presley, president of the LTA. And everybody here who's contributed to this tournament, the ball girls have been absolutely marvellous. Ball girls from Colombo Convent School in Croydon. Yes, and Doris Becker there, looking on the first time at Queen's. But one feels that this will not have done him any harm.
Yes, that so often falls off when they hold it up the top of that cup. Surely the largest tennis trophy in the world. I don't know of a bigger one than that.
Well, of course, it used to be the London Grass Court Championships, played the week before Wimbledon, but wonderful names, of course, on it. All the great players mostly have played here and won it. But what a wonderful week Queen's Club have had. Wonderful weather. I can't remember when Queen's had a championship without some rain. And all records broken. But really uppermost in our minds, I think, today is here is a man, a professional to his fingertips, who won on grass, remember, as a junior, won his first junior on grass, and in spite of that, always felt that he could never play on grass. And through sheer guts and professionalism has shown that he's now possibly going to start favourite for Wimbledon.